All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am 7Draws6, and I am the DM for 7th Roll. And today we are going to continue our homebrew series on the Elemental Master. Specifically, we are going to start diving into the subclasses. Now, I am going to give each subclass their own separate video. I don't know what the upload schedule is going to be for it. I might upload like 2 subclass videos on one day. But I am going to split them into different videos so it's a little easier. In case you're only interested in one subclass, then you can kind of go to that video and just look at that. Then you don't have to be bored through the rest of the video, you know? So, we have now gotten version 0.5.2, which is great. So we can now get to Elemental Master version 0.5.3. which is going to go over the first of the paths. Now, one thing that I did realize is I didn't actually, one of the things that I'm going to do for easiness sake is I'm actually going to put a page break here. And the reason that I'm going to do that, I'm going to kind of like move over some stuff in a second. The reason that I'm doing that is because what I want to do is I want to have a little, I want to have a little title here that says elemental, I think it was elemental paths that I called it. Let me see, combat paths. So I'm just going to put combat paths, which explains the fact that there's subclasses here, you know. I might at some point put some text there, but at least that, like, because I always, like, for some weird reason skip over these when I'm looking for stuff, so I actually am going to change this. Yeah. So we are going to be looking at the first of these paths today. And see what we can make of it. Also, I am, just for my own not going crazy, gonna add a column break here. It's also gonna make it easy. So, combat paths get 5 different path features. They get one at level 3, level 5, level 7, level 11, and level 17, if I'm not mistaken. Why level 5? This is based off of the revised Ranger, actually. Normally at level 5, certain combat classes get an extra attack. In this class, only one subclass actually gets that. The rest gets something else. That's the reason why this has one at 3, 5, 7, and then 11 and 17. So let's have a look. The first path. Now let's explain combat paths for a second. A combat path is pretty much what way do you use the elements, right? Don't look at this as, oh, you're better at one element or you're better at another. No. What element or what is your preferred method of using the elements? Do you like to use a fighting style? Do you like to cast spells, right? Do you like to control elementals? That was what the original Puppet Master was. Do you like to also go into the positive or negative planes? Because these are 2 planes that also exist in the lore of D&D. That's kind of what this is. You have basic control over the elements at any point in time. However, you also now have a little bit more control over what your favored way is of using them. The Path of the Warrior is a combat class. So, pretty much a elemental master that picks the Path of the Warrior is going to be someone who's going to be fighting with weapons and has learned to also upgrade his weapons using that strength. So let's have a look. So this is a little bit of fluff. You have learned how to combine the strength of a weapon with the strength of the elements. Weapon mastery. Because you have decided to become a warrior, you are capable of fighting amongst the best. When you hit level 3, you become proficient with all martial weapons. Not melee weapons. I also realized that I have to fix some small stuff in my changelog. When you hit level 3, you become proficient with all martial weapons. Again, same reason as back in the first video. I switched simple melee. I had simple melee weapons in proficiency. because I never really thought anyone was going to use ranged weapons because they have Elemental Blast as a cantrip, but I don't want to take away the option of being proficient in ranged weapons as well. So when you hit level 3, you can become proficient with all martial weapons and heavy armor. So here you get heavy armor. This is pretty much, I think, where you're going to go for more of a strength elemental master build is going to be with this. In addition, your maximum hit points increase by 1 for each level you have in the elemental master class. This might need a little bit of an extra explanation, and I actually have one for you. Now, we're going to look a little bit at statistics here, but as you know, the Elemental Master class gets 1d8 hit points. Technically, I should actually be looking at this. 1d8 hit points per level in the Elemental Master class, right? Okay. On average, if you roll a d8, the average that you roll is 4.5, right? This is statistics. Don't worry about it. Pretty much you have to kind of see it as every single number on a d8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, has a 1 in 8 chance of being rolled. So on average, that's going to come out to rolling 4.5. If you would roll 100 times and divide the number you rolled by 100, you're going to be pretty close to 4.5 with a little bit of a deviation. You're going to be pretty close to 4.5 with a little bit of a deviation. Now, let's say that you go to a d10. What is your average then? Very simple. 1d10 has an average of 5.5, which happens to be 1 point higher, right? So what happens if we look at the average of 1d8 plus 1? It is also 5.5. Now, some of you are not going to have gotten that explanation. The reason that you get the additional hit points in the Path of the Warrior is because it puts you on the same playing field hit point wise as Paladins, Fighters, and Ranger. Because this is what you can kind of call the martial path of the Elemental Master. So I wanted this to be, I wanted to give you the option of, you know, getting that additional hit points and still having the martial class abilities. That's really the reason that this 1 extra hit point is here. Also notice that it is only for each level you have in the Elemental Master class. So if you multi-class, you don't get that additional hit. The one area where it kind of falls off is at level 1. You'll start off with level, quote unquote, you would, like, if you take this, you would start off with 9 hit points plus your constitution, where a fighter's going to start off with 10 hit points plus your constitution. But that's like, you know, one small deviation. Other than that, this matches up very well and very nicely with, you know, Fighter, Ranger, and Paladin in terms of hit. All right. Then, Enchanted Weaponry, you also get this as level 3. When you take this path to level 3, your weapons can now be infused with your elemental power. You use a bonus action to infuse your weapons with any of the elements for the next minute when you hit with a melee weapon attack. This one is going to stay a melee weapon attack. This is not going to be a ranged weapon attack. Why? Balance and preference. You can use one of your chosen abilities from the elemental control feature as if you had cast the elemental blast cantrip of that corresponding type. If later on you would get multiple attacks, you can use this feature on every individual attack. What does this mean? Let's say that you're fighting with a longsword. We're going to pick level 3 right now. You use your bonus action and infuse your weapons, by the way, that's going to be important in a second, your weapons with elemental prowess. Now, whenever you make an attack roll with your longsword and you hit, you can now use the corresponding effect from your elemental control feature. Now, let's say, for example, that at level 1, you picked Fire Elemental Affinity. Remember, whenever you now cast the Elemental Blast feature, you deal an additional amount of damage equal to your Wisdom modifier in fire damage. That is now also a thing when you've used this bonus action. right? So now every single time you hit with your longsword, while it is infused with elemental power, you will gain that additional wisdom in fire damage, right? The same thing for water. You can hit something and within 10 feet, someone gets temporary hit points. Earth, you hit someone within 10 feet of the target gets +1 AC. This can be you, by the way. Wind, you hit, you push them 5 feet. Very possible. At level 5, you get 2 attacks instead of 1, right? You get the extra attack feature. One thing, and I don't know if I have to specify this here, one thing that means is that you can do your first attack and go with fire, and then do your second attack and go with water, or vice versa. You can change that. At level 11, you can start putting in, let's say that you have ooze as one of your things, you can put in ooze. You can put in cold. You can put in smoke. Doesn't matter, right? So that's kind of the way that works. I don't know how balanced this is. Probably not very, but hey, let's go with it. Remember one thing though. Remember that this, because of the change that I made to magma, you only deal your sword damage to all your other targets because it's the damage that the original target took. So I didn't actually see that coming, that would happen, but you and I know that I did. I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. Half of you have no clue what I'm talking about, but anyway, it doesn't matter. So that's kind of the way this is going to work. So you can choose your affinity abilities that you've gained as if you'd cast the Elemental Blast cantrip. One change that is going to happen here, you can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus before you have to take a long rest to use it. I realized that at this point in time, this was not capped, and it was a bonus action, so there's barely any payoff for using this feature. So either I had to change it to an action, which, you know, takes your action, which is kind of boring, or I had to limit the amount of times you could use it, and my reaction was like, yeah, I like that more. I like that. This also allows you to kind of grow over time, and I kind of like that. So I've already talked about the extra attack, protecting armor. So this is kind of this subclass, or this path is kind of meant to be both a tank alongside kind of a supportive character. Because of that, you're level 7. Starting at level 7, you generate an aura to protect your friends from damage. Whenever a creature within 15 feet of you is about to take fire, acid, poison, or cold damage, you can spend 1 affinity point and use your reaction to give that creature resistance to one of those types of damage until the start of your next turn. Just a protective ability. This is against attacks and saves. Why these 4 types? Because they're the 4 magical types that you get, that you can use your Elemental Blast feature with. That's why Lightning's not in there. That's why Radiance, Necrotic, Force aren't in there. That's why Thunder's not in there. Fire is just one of the basic elemental affinities. Acid is ooze, poison is smoke, and cold is ice. That's the reason that it's those 4 specifically. Why are piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing not in there? Because not all piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage is earth, air, and water. So that's why. Secondary Blast. Once you reach level 11, you have learned how to combine your magic with weapons. Whenever you cast your Elemental Blast cantrip, you make an additional weapon attack as a bonus action. You can see that this can include a ranged attack. That's actually one of the biggest reasons that I also changed this to all martial weapons. So you can shoot an Elemental Blast and then shoot your bow if you want to. I don't know. Actually, no. That was the original intent. I've been debating that, and now I kind of made up my mind, actually, while I was talking about it, and this is going to be an additional melee weapon attack. People are going to give me shit for that, I know, but this is meant to be a melee class, or a melee warrior class, not a ranged warrior class. If you want to be a ranged class, pick any of the others, because you can just cast Elemental Blast over and over and over and over and over again. Just take it. Take it that it's, melee. Then the wind sharpens your blade. This is the one feature that specifically, goes for it. Also, yes, this is the one time that wind is correct, by the way. I like the wind sharpens your blade more than the air sharpens your blade. Once you reach level 17, you're able to call upon the wind to increase your speed and strength. As a bonus action, you let yourself get enveloped by the wind. By spending 3 affinity points, you are under the effect of the haste spell for the next minutes. But you do not have to concentrate, however the effect when the spell ends will still occur. So this is just kind of the thing of like, you speed yourself up. You make yourself really good in combat. Now, I am going to make one change to this again. Yes, I will force you to concentrate on this. Haste is a really powerful spell, if you think about it. And especially that you have to think about the fact that if you use your you already get to cast it as a bonus action, right? You already get to use it as a bonus action. You get +2 AC, you get +2 to dex saves, which at this point you also have proficiency in dex saves. You get to re-roll some of your dex saves because, the quick protection feature from level 2. I just thought, this might be a little insane if you don't have to concentrate on it. You have proficiency in Constitution saving throws. You've probably taken a decent amount of Constitution. It's not like you're gonna fail your concentration checks, but there was this little element in me that was like, if you can just cast haste at will as a bonus action for 3 affinity points. By the way, for the people wondering why it's 3 affinity points, haste is a 3rd level spell. That's right. So then why don't you have to pay 8 affinity points for plane shift? Because you get it at level 18, whereas wizards get it at 15, and you can only use it to go to elemental. Shut up. God damn it. But yeah. So that's the final change to this. So that's the Path of the Warrior, which is the first of the subclasses that we're going to discuss. I hope you guys like it. This is also the subclass that was featured in the King's Feast, the King's Spy, and the King's War. If you liked it, please leave a like on the video, leave a comment what you thought about it, subscribe to the channel, all of those fun little things that I'm going to keep asking every single video. Again, this version is going to be in the description, hopefully, if I don't forget. And at the same time, again, the full version of the class is also going to get a link in the description so you can have a look at the class and all that fun stuff. Have some fun with it, ask your DM if you can play it, or if you are the DM, make some NPCs with it, because those are fun. So yeah. Yes, I'm doing my outro and I really need to drink something because my throat is getting dry. So, other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to cut this video here. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, this has been 7 Draws 6. Until next time.